All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. I also want to give double honors to our apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone that rule well through the Holy Spirit, and peace and blessings and salutations to you elect who are scattered throughout the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and all sincerity. I'm the brother Sha'ar from the Great Millstone Doubters branch, coming to you all with a very quick lesson, really quick. I just want to speak on a lesson that I just did a little bit ago, and it's currently processing on my computer right now, so I don't know which is going to be uploaded first. But in the lesson, I touched up on quite a bit of things, but namely, I went into, I talked about why the Holy Land is such a hot zone. And I also touched up briefly on 70 AD up to right now with some prophecies. All right. But in that lesson, I briefly went into Esau, and not even just Esau occupying that land, but just the Holy Land and the fatness of it in a nutshell. All right. And more so, I will say the whole Middle East is a very resourceful part of the earth. All right. But I made mention, namely, to specify further, I talked about the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Suez. I'm sorry, the Canal of Suez. All right. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, I made mention, more so I said on the right side of the Holy Land. All right. But more so just to specify a little deeper. All right. Because that more so is off of pretty much the coast of Iran. OK. And more so, you have Arabs that occupy the Strait of Hormuz. It's pretty much, from Saudi Arabia to Iran. And then you have the Gulf of Suez, or the Canal of Suez, which connects Egypt, all right, to pretty much the the Sinai Peninsula. All right. But namely, that Holy Land, that area within itself is a very high commodity. And I said Esau has that land. All right. And to specify, all right, Esau has the whole earth, Job 9:24. All right. But you still do have heathen that occupy certain lands and have more so territorial means or rights to certain lands, like the Strait of Hormuz and such. But this is why, one of the reasons why a lot of infighting takes place there. Excuse me. Which is why Esau sets himself up, all right, and fights against those resourceful areas and such. All right. So that's a point that I did want to kind of bring up in that lesson, that it slipped my mind to bring up. And I didn't want it to sound vague, as I stated that Esau, pretty much owns that area, and he just owns that area, and that's it. So I did kind of want to just briefly talk about that more. But I do want to bring this up, and I brought it up in my lesson. But I'm going to read this in Genesis 27:39. And it says, "And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above." And this is Isaac giving his blessing to Esau. And it states the fatness of the earth, which that's tied to the riches of the earth, or the resources of the earth. All right. And the word for fatness in that verse, all right, goes into fatness, and it also means oil. All right. And it's a reason why Esau wants to set himself up in these different areas and take down, all right, the rightful people that dwell in that area. It's all due to the resources. It's all due, resources like minerals and oil and so forth. All right. But I did want to briefly touch up on that. That way, my point that I made in my lesson didn't just sound vague. All right. And just didn't sound like me saying Esau just owns that whole area in the Middle East, from the Strait of Hormuz to the Canal of Suez. All right. I wanted to specify on that just a little more, but hopefully this was edifying. Shalom. Shalom.